Yeah, the Dublin game was one for the ages, a culmination of the Rooney family story.
The Emerald Isle has turned black and gold as Steelers Nation has taken over the Irish Nation for today's historic game at Croke Park in Dublin, the first regular season game ever played in the Republic of Ireland.
On game day at Croke Park, the stadium was packed with our fans, and they were heard, and the environment was special that day, and Steelers Nation made a difference in the outcome.
And blitz coming by Patrick Queen, untouched.
Especially with Mike T talking about it early in the week. They gave the background story about it, and then it just made you care that much more about the meaning of this game.
We had an agenda to go out there and win in a fashion that we can remember, and I think we just all was on the same page and went out there and gave our all.
And the Steelers are going to hang on and win an historic game at Croke Park.
And we get to take a dub out of Dublin.
Always good to win. Getting that one over in Dublin was really special, and one we'll always remember.
Here we go. This pass is caught, and that's a touchdown. That's the way to work. Come on. He's hit that sack. The Steelers win the football game. Let's go. Come get it. You know what it is.
This one is in the history books.
Here we go.
Welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show. I'm Missy Matthews. The Steelers' early bye week not only gave players a chance to rest after winning the first NFL game in Dublin, it also gave fans a chance to sit back and relax while they watched the rest of the AFC North endure a rough weekend at the office. Let's welcome in Bob Pompeani, who's standing by with Coach Tomlin for more on his 3-1 Steelers and the trip to Ireland. Bob.
Hey, Missy, thanks very much. Good to be back with you. And Mike Tomlin is here, back from Ireland. Dublin, Ireland was a great trip. I know the wind capped it all off, but what was that experience like for you?
You know, it was surreal for me. First of all, I love to travel and to see places that I haven't seen before, particularly things in Europe, because we have no concept of what's old in America. And so I just appreciated that component of it. Man, the hospitality was top notch. The facility that they housed us at was second to none. I can't say enough about the services provided and the people that took care of us while we were there.
And it seemed to me like the ambassador was looking down on everything because the weather was great too the whole time.
It was beautiful, no doubt.
Let's talk about your run game, because that was beautiful when it comes to execution. You guys going up against a team that was 14-3 last year, a very good team. And yet you came out even without Jaylen Warren, and you decided to run and, first of all, tackle eligible. You got celebrity status coming up here. It used to be with Zach Banner, now it's going to be Spencer Anderson. But that was your game plan. How would you assess what happened?
I think it's moving in the direction that we would like it to. Certainly, I think our young offensive line group is coming together, and that's reasonable to expect with an accumulation of snaps. And so that was double thumbs up. But also, I think, our ability to get off the field on defense and maybe convert some third downs on offense early on in the game really kind of highlighted that. I don't know if it was dramatically different as it appears, but I just had a feel over the course of the first month of the season that it was moving in the direction that it ended up in Dublin.
To enhance the run game, Darnell Washington got a lot of snaps over there, and he's very good at what he does. But that also meant limited snaps for both Jonnu Smith and Pat Freiermuth. Is that something that's a week-to-week proposition based on the opposition?
It's no question. That's why we, like diversity in our talent. We're talking a lot this week about Darnell and the significance of his role. We have 2 4-3 teams in our division, Cincinnati and, of course, Cleveland. And those guys that play the edge in those defenses are much bigger than outside linebackers. And so you need a tight end that's much bigger than 250 pounds to meet the weight class combat component of the matchup. And so weeks where we play 4-3 teams, you'll probably see more of Darnell. That's why we went to Athens and drafted him. And I think he embraces that component of his role.
We also saw your version, I guess, of the tush push. Interesting play there with Connor Hayward being the guy. Why him, and what did it take to get that into your repertoire?
It's just one less close quarter hit on Aaron first and foremost, and Connor's a guy that's versatile and good in just about any situation that you put him in, whether it's offense or special teams, and so that's the story there.
Offensive line, you mentioned it, but the metrics speak volumes. I think in the first two games there were 22 pressures allowed, only 11 the last two. Sacks went down from 6 to 1 over 2 games. What's been the big difference with those guys?
I just think it's a maturation process. And when I'm talking about maturation, I'm talking about individually and collectively. We got some young people up front, Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, certainly Troy Fatano didn't get a chance to play a whole lot last year. And so whether you're looking at them individually or whether you're looking at them as a collective, I just think it's a maturation process that's happening. It certainly doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen as quickly as we'd like it. But I feel the trajectory of it, and it needs to continue.
You kind of like one play 80-yard drives taking 12 seconds too, right? That's always good to have.
I'll take a bunch of them.
What was the key to that play? Because to me, it's just all accuracy. If it's not where it should be, then Metcalf has to stop and start.
I really think, you can see the play and appreciate it, but I don't think the overall hustle of all parties involved is highlighted enough. DK has a finisher's mentality in practice settings. No matter where he catches the ball on the field, he gets to speed and finishes and works on that component of his game. And if you see Calvin and Ben Skoranek, man, just the people that were working downfield to finish that play off really speaks to the culture that we're trying to create in terms of finishing. Whether you have the ball in your hand or you don't, that's the component of the play that stands out for me.
All right, defensively, you're going to get some good news this week with both Joey Porter Jr. back and Alex Highsmith, although Herbeck's been doing a very good job over there. So how do you kind of figure out who gets what defensively with snaps?
That's a great problem to have. The lack of players is the problem. It was really good, for instance, to get Deshaun Elliott back last week. He was very impactful in terms of what happened with us. He had a sack fumble and an interception. And so to add Highsmith and Joey Porter Jr. to that mix, it just means we're getting the full strength. In the meanwhile, some other guys have gained some valuable experience, and we've been forced to maybe adjust a little bit sooner than we would like. But it's all growth in that process. And so as we get some of these players back and we continue to find cohesion, man, it's just really double thumbs up for us. We'll worry about sorting out the reps on a week-to-week like basis.
The other thing is the physicality of the game has increased. It looks like, I mean, you talk about Derek Harmon, the role he's played in as a pure rookie. That whole defensive line was very big in that Vikings game.
Yeah, there's really no secret why we kind of put him in the starting lineup unusually soon. You know, we reported to training camp and we listed him as a starter. We just had that level of, comfort with what he was capable of doing, and he's done nothing but solidify that for us. It's good to have him back as well. He certainly missed the first couple of weeks, but I just feel with last week being his second game back, I just feel a nice trajectory of his performance as well, and so it's reasonable to expect that to continue.
Steelers win 24-21 in Dublin. They're 3-1 atop the AFC North. Coming up, big game against the Cleveland Browns, a team which was in London, had to fly across country. We'll talk about that with Coach Tomlin coming up. Missy Matthews, let's send it back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Bob. And from London to Acrisure for the Browns, where they have lost their last 21 regular season games in Pittsburgh. Coming up later in the show, Merrill Hodge breaks down Browns rookie quarterback Dylan Gabriel, who is the only QB in NFL history to make his first career start in an international game. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
The Steelers' first taste of AFC North football will take place on Sunday as they return to Acrisure Stadium. It'll be against the Browns, who will want to play physical, especially with the NFL's #1 ranked run defense. For much more on this Week 6 matchup, let's send it back to Bob and Coach. Guys.
All right, Missy, thanks very much. Cleveland is up next, and the first of all AFC North Division matchups. So Coach Tomlin, let's talk about that. But first, I'm going to put it from an Aaron Rodgers perspective, because that's a good defense you're going to be going up against. What does he mean? You watch cadence, you watch how he kind of can neutralize what some defenders are doing pre-snap. In that regard, how helpful is Aaron Rodgers in that?
His experience and expertise in that space is not only helpful to him, but it's helpful to us as a collective. His ability to utilize cadence to gather information, to undress disguises, in check plays, whether it's run checks, run pass checks, it's just very helpful. But a guy like Jim Schwartz has been around, the architect of that defense. He was in division with Aaron when he was the head coach in Detroit. And so I'm sure he is highly familiar with Aaron Rodgers and some of the things that he's capable of. And that's why we're preparing with such an edge this week in respect to the matchup.
That matchup will have a very good defensive team. We've seen that with Myles Garrett leading the way here. What makes them so good? Why do they succeed, especially when it comes to points allowed?
Really good players and really good schematics, to be succinct. Myles Garrett is a game wrecker. He alters your schematics. He certainly does. You better be conscious of him, particularly in one-dimensional passing circumstances. First, you better work to stay out of one-dimensional passing circumstances. But when in it, you better, proceed with caution. And I think Jim Schwartz, being the veteran coordinator that he is, he does a nice job of highlighting the strengths of his group, whether it's Myles or whether it's Denzel Ward. He does a really nice job of utilizing his guys, playing off their strengths, utilizing schematics where maybe they fall short. That's what good experienced coordinators do. And so I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Delpit, for example. They got really good players at all levels, and they got an experienced, good coordinator in Jim Schwartz.
And Devin Bush is their second leading tackler, so he's gone through some rough patches, and now he's finally seems like he has a home over there. What's the difference from the last time you saw him?
I just think he's healthy. That's a knee injury that he suffered while he was a member of our football team was really catastrophic for him. He had to regain his footing and in some ways reestablish himself. You're never purely the same on the other side of major injury. And so I think what we're looking at is just him adapting and adjusting. I felt the same way when I saw him in Seattle a couple years ago. He's marched his way back, and good for him. I'm happy for him, but it's just a sign of how significant particularly knee injuries can be. It can derail you not only for that year, but for a couple of years as you regain your professional footing.
Since Baker Mayfield left that organization, they've gone through 9 starting quarterbacks. The latest is Dylan Gabriel, who had a really long college career. I'm sure you scouted him in college. What's he done here that he did maybe in Oregon or with another team that you see in terms of trends?
I just think that, he processes in a timely manner. He's a uniquely experienced for a rookie. First of all, he's a 6-year college player. He threw for 18,000 yards in college, 155 touchdowns, 32 interceptions. And so, that's a lot of in-helmet perspective and play. And so I think the thing that I think about when I watch him play is first and foremost, he's uniquely experienced for a rookie, and I think it shows in his play. And I think his superpower is processing. The timeliness and the fluidity of his processing allows him and them to function and function without negativity. And I think that's certainly the reason why they went to him.
Let's talk about their run game. Quinshon Judkins, who you know well, I'm sure Ohio State's always produced good players. He had 110 yards last week. He seems like he's not operating like a rookie. He's comfortable back there, and he seems to read his offensive line very well.
Think about this. He's played in 4 games. He missed the opener. He started 3 games. He had absolutely no training camp. And so what you're looking at is pretty spectacular. I don't think he or they are getting enough credit for what's transpiring with him under those circumstances. But certainly we were well aware of his talents. I have 2 of his former teammates on our team. But it just speaks to the talent that group had. We saw Henderson a couple of weeks ago in New England. That was a special group, and certainly he was a major component of it, and he's quickly establishing himself as a major component of what they're doing in Cleveland.
They used a lot of tight ends. David Njoku obviously comes to mind. You've had experience with him. But another rookie out of Bowling Green, Fannin Jr., all of a sudden is taking opportunities that I don't know he was going to get at the beginning of the year. He's made the most of it. What makes him operate well? He's
one of these oversized positionless athletes that kind of comprise the tight end position in today's game at times. Brock Bauer, I think, reflects that in Vegas, and he's probably the prototype for the oversized athlete first, tight end positionally second. Jonnu fits that mold, and that's one of the reasons why we were really excited about acquiring him. He's a tough matchup. He's too athletic at times for linebackers. He's too big and strong at times for secondary people. And so that's why they drafted him. That's why he was so productive at Bowling Green. His Bowling Green tape was spectacular.
All right, Coach, thanks very much for that. Cleveland up next. When we come back, Missy, it's time for the keys to this game. We'll have it shortly. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much, guys. Aaron Rodgers is 3-0 as a starter against Cleveland, but that was all with Green Bay. Needless to say, however, he threw 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in each of those 3 matchups against the Browns. And speaking of QBs, the Browns started a new one last week and traded another one this week. Up next, Merrill Hodge gives us the lowdown on rookie Dillon Gabriel, who the Steelers will face on Sunday. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Show off your black and gold knowledge with Immaculate Prediction, the Steelers predictive game that gives you a chance to win some great prizes. Here's one of this week's questions. Will Patrick Queen or Peyton Wilson have more tackles on Sunday? Head to the Steelers mobile app now to compete against all of Steelers Nation. This week's first place prize is 2 tickets to the home game against the Bengals. Good luck. Well, the Browns made a quarterback change last week. Dillon Gabriel became Cleveland's 41st different starting QB since 1999. He's also the 13th rookie to start for the Browns, which is the most in the NFL over that span. So what should the Steelers expect on Sunday? Let's send it to Merrill Hodge for this week's Playbook.
Hi everyone, welcome into the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex for the Playbook brought to you by Microsoft Copilot. Try to say that 3 times. All right, now let's get to the Playbook. The Cleveland Browns are coming to town. Dillon Gabriel, starting quarterback, rookie. Now, coming out of college, I will tell you this about him. He knows how to play the position. 2 things he does very well. He anticipates things well, he processes things well, and he's very accurate. So I'll give you 3 things. Now, the one thing the Browns did is they try to keep things simple for him. I don't think they will build much on it. But this is what I think you can expect to see when he plays the Browns on Sunday, and the Steelers are going to have to defend. They did a really good job of half-field reads. So let's show you what a half-field read is. They tried to keep it simple, and all he had to do is read half of the field. Now, by formation and motions, they would do some things to create some confusion in the back end. This is really a simple complex. You got a corner and an out route. The Vikings are playing man coverage, but they did a good job of protecting him. They didn't just keep 5 guys in. They'd keep 6 and 7 at times and then release them late and then have 2 defined runners. He didn't have to look at the entire field. He focused on one side of the field, which he's working the right side right here. So you got your corner and you got your flat. He reads that. He sees the out guy wins, gets him the ball quickly. Really good job on 3rd down as well. And then 1st downs, they did some misdirection. So they'd bring motion and they'd make it look like run, and they'd release the back out of the backfield. And what this complicates is that it looks like run initially, so it paralyzes the box. That's what freezes the running back right here. And even the tight end gets a free release. So there's really only 2 routes. He boots to it. He's going to move to his left, and the running back is going to be wide open really quick. He dumps it off to him, and they get an explosive play from the backfield. So that was effective. Now, where they did open things up is when they got into scoring territory. And the reason for that is because the field is condensed, so it's harder to get quick pressure in his face. Because keep in mind, he is 5'9", 5'10". He's not very tall, not very big. So if you push pressure in his face, it's hard for him to see in the middle of the field and down the field. But in this case, he can get the ball out so quick, he'll be okay. And he's a really good processor, so this is a great example of it. It kind of looks like they are in a zone coverage initially, but they use motion to identify what they end up going in. And what they end up going to is man coverage. So he starts to left, but then he works right back to the middle of the field because he knows he's tight end. If he wins with the safeties being split, that's probably the guy that he wants to throw the football to, which he does. So he processes it well. Even though he started to the left, he works back to the right, and he ends up throwing a touchdown to the tight end. So they did a lot of good things. They'll build on this. But the key will be for the Steelers to handle the stuff that they've seen on tape and then deal with all the things that they build on going forward.
And you can catch more of Merrill's playbooks on the team's official YouTube page. Well, the bye week has been good to the Steelers under Coach Tomlin. They are 14-4 following the week off, including 6-1 at home. And for more on how they can keep that trend going, let's send it back one final time to Bob and Coach for the keys to the game, presented by your neighborhood Ford store. Guys.
All right, Missy, thank you very much. Cleveland comes to town. Steelers looking to get 4-1 in their record. First time you have an AFC North team in. It's a team they're familiar with, and nothing's easy in this division for sure. What are your keys to this game, especially at home?
Yeah, you mentioned we're familiar with them. They're also familiar with us. I think that's what I love about division play. I'm excited about this first divisional game. For us, defensively, we can't allow their run game to keep them on schedule. We got to do a great job of minimizing Judkins and others. They'll do everything in their power to stay on schedule, to not end up behind the chains. And so that's a major component of it. If we end up in a bunch of 3rd and 1s and 3rd and 2s, the game is moving in the direction that they like. And not only that, but when games are unfolding like that, very rarely do you have an opportunity for splash defensively, the turnovers that really define good performance. On the other side of the ball for us, we certainly can't allow Myles Garrett to wreck the game. He's capable of that. At times when we've struggled against them in recent years, he is the central reason why. And so we got to be smart. We got to keep the ball moving. We got to stay out of less than ideal down and distant circumstances, and that tees us up to minimize him. But certainly at the end of the day, it doesn't get it done. We'll use schematics, we'll chip, we'll body position, we'll do what others do. But his career sack reel is comprised of people doing that. He still finds a way to get home. And that's why he's a unique animal. 4
sacks, tackles for losses. He's up there as well. Good luck on Sunday.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. That's Mike Tomlin. As the Steelers get ready for the Cleveland Browns, we'll have the game at 1 o'clock. Our pregame begins at 11:30 a.m. on KDK. 2 hours of postgame follow on KDK+. For Missy Matthews and head coach Mike Tomlin, I'm Bob Pompeani. Have a great weekend. We'll see you at Acrisure Stadium.